Hello, my name is Dylan, and I'm going to be showing off an Unreal Engine spellcasting system I've been working on. So I wanted the player to be able to draw spells, and sort of add modifiers to them to make them more powerful and stuff like that. So this is the basic idea. So I'm going to draw a circle, activates the spell. You can see it adds points for the circle. Let's say I want fireball, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a fireball on there. And spawns a fireball. And let's say I want this fireball to be bigger. I can draw a plus, and it's going to make the fireball bigger. And I can keep going, and it's going to make it bigger each time. It's a little bit messy right now because of the debug. But basically all it's doing is drawing a spline. This is going to be the only thing the player will see. So like you can draw a plus. It's obviously not going to recognize that one. Oh, it did. But for example, so the way this works is that it logs different points. Okay. So whenever it draws the actual spline, it's gonna log um, the marker, which is the black dot. No, it's gonna log the point of contact's relative location, and add it to a list of relative point locations. Then we're gonna measure it. We're gonna see how large it is on the x and the y axis. I'm just gonna go ahead and those are not even linked up to anything. Basically, it's saying, hey, if this is smaller than the current one, we're gonna make that the furthest left. Next thing, we're going to go ahead and scale it. So we're going to give it to uniform 100 by 100 unit. Finally, we're going to move it. Basically, we're going to move it to where the leftmost point is on 0, and the bottommost point is also on 0. And then the top is 100 and the right is 100. Basically, we're this little square right here is 100 by 100, so it's kind of just a reference to see how large the image is comparing it to. Finally, we're going to do the final ref gathering. Basically, we're going to draw a new spline along the points of the relative point location that have been updated to where it reflects the scaled and moved positions. It's then going to draw a new spline, and because it's a spline, we can actually get location at the distance along spline and log those as our final reference points. It has to be a spline. It's easier to do it as a spline because you can control the number of reference points, and you can also control how long it is. So the number of reference points we're using is it's 80, yeah. And so we take the spline length divided by 80, and basically at 0.5, we know that we need to put a point at this distance along the spline. Finally, we're going to comprehend. We're going to get the current spell's level. So, for example, there's different levels of spells. The level 0 is going to determine if it's like an active or a passive spell. Level 1 is going to determine, hey, this is a fireball or this is a lightning bolt. The lightning bolt is actually this spell. I was working on the effects for it. Okay, that's something else. So it's going to look at this, and then the level 2 are going to be the modifiers. So right now I only have the plus ref points, which makes it larger. For the lightning bolt, it's going to add additional chains to it, so it can chain to more enemies. Then we're going to have the clock, which is going to obviously increase duration, stuff like that. Basically, when we comprehend, we're just looking at we're going to say, hey, is the X close enough, and is the Y close enough? And if it is, we're going to add a point to that index on the level shape 1 accuracy points array. I'm doing it this way just because I think it's a little bit easier to do it this way. I can keep track of it a little bit better in my head. And once everything is fully set up, it should, like, you don't need to touch it. You just need to make sure that sorry, you just need to make sure the active spell, which is what is actually manipulating. Let me see right here. So this is the active spell. This is what's going to actually manipulate the spells when we get it in, when you cast it. So this is what is spawning the spell. It's looking at, hey, I got this spell shape in. It's saying, hey, this is an active spell. And then when it gets a level 1 spell level, it's going to look at a list of different spells we have, and it's going to spawn that. And then down here, it's going to call specifically to the spell. It's going to call like, hey, we need increase, we need to do the clock one, or whatever other modifiers we add later. Since this is all working, I'm going to go ahead and do a little clean up and get rid of the debug. Yeah, this right here is what we're using to actually generate the data tables. Basically, it's just a little blueprint that you draw a spline, and then it writes it to a Google spreadsheet file, or not a Microsoft Excel file, and then we can just import that in automatically, and it comes a nice little array that we can use to reference the points. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to continue working on this, make it a little bit more refined, and hopefully have a really cool spellcasting system at the end of it all. Thank you.